Madam Chair, we can call the meeting to order.
Great. Well, let's call this meeting to order. The County of San Diego, Leon L. Williams, San Diego County Human Relations Commission, April 19th, 2022 at 10 o'clock. And welcome to everyone. We are calling this meeting to order. On to roll call.
All right, Commissioner Anaya. Commissioner Anaya. Vice Chair Arton. Commissioner Chasen. Commissioner Kate Clark. Commissioner Cinnamon Clark. Commissioner De Los Rios.
Here, present.
Commissioner Desert. Commissioner Elliott Santos. Commissioner Evans. Commissioner Farouk.
Present.
Commissioner Fowler.
Present.
Commissioner Garcias. Commissioner Gillies.
Present.
Commissioner Griffin Jones. Commissioner Hassan.
Present.
Commissioner Hodges.
Present.
Commissioner Ismail.
Present.
Commissioner Corey.
Present.
Commissioner Legaspi. Commissioner Murray Ramirez. Chair Nash.
Present.
Commissioner Perez.
Present.
Commissioner Ramirez.
Present.
Acting Sheriff Anthony Ray.
I am here.
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes, sir.
District Attorney Summer Steffen.
Present.
Commissioner Villaforte.
Present.
All right, Madam Chair, we have quorum. We can move on to our first agenda item.
Great. We have our own Commissioner George Corey, who's going to provide some comments in regards to the Arab American Heritage Month. Commissioner Corey.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Chair. You caught me. Anyway, after many years of potentially many erasure of our culture and heritage as Arab Americans in the United States, although we have been very active within the communities and the societies all over since I can trace it back to 1850s. Anyway, beginning in the 1990s, Arab American heritage was celebrated sporadically in various states at different times of the year, primarily in school districts. It wasn't until 2017 when Arab America began a national initiative to coordinate all states under National Arab American Heritage Month. On April 30th, 2019, Arab American organizations asked Congresswoman Debbie Dingell to issue a congressional resolution proclaiming National Arab American Heritage Month. It was then introduced to the House on April 30th, 2019, and referred to the House Committee on Oversight and Reform, where it's still being held by some. Anyway, the United States Department of State has recognized April as the National Arab American Heritage Month, stating in a public announcement on April the 1st, 2021, through their official social media channels, Americans of Arab heritage are very much a part of the fabric of this nation, and Arab Americans have contributed in every field and profession. We have come a long way from the first time Arab American heritage was recognized on the national level with a National Arab American Day in 1992. However, recently, in 2022, President Biden issued a statement in recognition of Arab American Heritage Month, as did countless other government officials and organizational partners. We are so proud of the work our community has done for decades to get us here, particularly on the local levels. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Corey. Now we'll move on to the teleconferencing meeting option pursuant to Government Code Section 54953, Article E.
All right, and this is our normal motion at this point to continue teleconferencing. So we can take a vote on the motion on the screen, that is to find on behalf of itself and all committees. The commission has considered the circumstances of the state of emergency, and state and local officials continue to recommend measures to promote social distancing and direct the chair to review and make the required determinations as applicable to allow the commission to meet remotely at least every 30 days. And we would need.
Roberts makes that motion.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second?
Second. Solid.
A second.
All right, we'll call the vote. Commissioner Anaya.
Aye.
Vice Chair Arton. Commissioner Chason. Commissioner Kate Clark. Commissioner Cinnamon Clark. Commissioner De Los Rios.
Aye.
Commissioner Desert.
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott Santos.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans. Commissioner Farouk.
Aye.
Commissioner Fowler.
Aye.
Commissioner Garcias. Commissioner Gillies.
Aye.
Commissioner Griffin Jones. Commissioner Hassan.
Aye.
Commissioner Hodges.
Aye.
Commissioner Ismail.
Aye.
Commissioner Corey.
Aye.
Commissioner Legaspi.
Aye.
Commissioner Murray Ramirez. Chair Nash.
Aye.
Commissioner Perez.
Aye.
Commissioner Ramirez.
Aye.
Acting Sheriff Anthony Ray.
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts. Commissioner Stefan.
Aye.
Commissioner Villaforte.
Aye.
That motion passes, Madam Chair. All members present voting unanimously.
Excellent.
Now we can move on to our next agenda item, which is public comment. And we have 13 members of the public that sent in a notification wanting to speak. We can allow them 2 minutes to speak, Madam Chair. We also allotted 10 minutes of time. Obviously, that's more than 10 minutes to allow those folks to speak, but you are well within your discretion to allow them to go over, or we could take them at the end of the meeting in order to get through our agenda.
Let's allow them to speak now.
Okay. So I will stop sharing my screen so I can see the participants. The first member I will call is Gus Hernandez. If you are on the line, let's unmute Gus and allow Gus to speak.
Hi there. This is Gus Hernandez. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You have 2 minutes, sir.
Good morning, commissioners. My name is Gus Hernandez. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm calling today to ask that you remove Commissioner Hodges from the Human Relations Commission. I know that this isn't on your agenda, but as a member of the LGBTQ community, I have been following this issue, and I'm just calling today to ask for his removal. Being an appointed commissioner is not a right, it's a privilege. All the commissioners on this commission are dedicated to the betterment of our San Diego region. Commissioner Hodges has stated that he could never and will never support the LGBTQ community. And I just want to let that statement sink in. No matter what, he won't support our community. He's made homophobic and transphobic statements, and he is not fit to serve on this commission. I ask that the Human Relations Commissioners vote to remove Commissioner Hodges from the Human Relations Commission as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Next, we have Doc Thomas. And let's see if we have him on the call. I do not see Dr. Thomas, and we'll maybe come back to him if they show up to speak. Next we have a mock Chris. Okay, I don't see them on the call either. We'll go with David Grove. David, you should be able to unmute. If you would like to speak, you have 2 minutes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, David.
Okay, my name is David Grove. I live here in Oceanside, California. I'm calling for the removal of Commissioner Hodges from the Human Relations Commission. Commissioner Hodges has stated that he could never and will never support the LGBTQ community, and his persistent and hateful comments have violated the code of conduct and make him unqualified to serve as HRC Commissioner. In a phone interview with the San Diego Union Tribune, Commissioner Hodges stood by his view that God considered transgender and homosexual individuals to be an abomination, citing the Bible, and told the editorial writer he did nothing wrong. Commissioner Hodges also abstained from voting on a commission proposal that would condemn transphobia and commit to the end of discrimination against transgender people and the LGBT. He clearly is not deserving of the position he has, and he should be removed, since he doesn't even respect the other commissioners, as he intentionally misgendered a commissioner doing nothing but disrespect. We need a commissioner who understands the LGBTQ and the LGBT community as a vulnerable and population that deserves to be treated with respect and to be protected from homophobia and transphobia. Human rights are for all humans, not just a few. To please vote. So I ask to please vote to remove Hodges from the commission and prove that bigotry has no place on the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grove. Next, we have a Robert Mickle. Next, we have Robert Mickle. I'm not seeing Robert Mickle. So we'll go to Max Jennings. Max Jennings. Okay, not seeing Max. Next, we'll go to Tara Volkovich. Okay. Tara Volkovich. There is a T in the chat. So if that is you, Tara, please let. Okay.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Tara, is that you with your hand raised? You should be able to speak.
My name is Tara Vukovic. My pronouns are she, her. I live in Rancho Santa Fe. I'm calling to ask that you would remove Commissioner Hodges from the Human Relations Commission. Commissioner Hodges has stated that he would never and could never support our LGBT. His persistent animus and hostile comments towards the LGBT community violate your code of conduct and make him unqualified to serve as a commissioner. Mr. Hodges has stated that one who engages in transgender behaviors and transgender behavior is an abomination, and that his understanding of transgender is a man dresses and behaves as a woman and vice versa. In referring to the entire LGBTQ community, Commissioner Hodges has stated that those who commit such acts, or should I say, practice such behaviors in this manner, are making immoral and ungodly decisions. We need commissioners who understand that LGBTQ people in this community are a vulnerable population that deserve to be treated with respect and as humans, and should be protected from homophobia and transphobia. So I ask that the Human Relations Commissioners vote to remove Commissioner Hodges from your commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a Rebecca Hook-Held. I'm not seeing that person online. Next, we have a Alan Acevedo. I see Alan on the call, so if you would still like to speak, you should.
Andrew,
Yes.
this is Rebecca.
Oh, hi. How you doing, Rebecca? Thank you. Sorry we missed you. So feel free to take 2 minutes to speak now.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Chair Nash and commissioners. My name is Rebecca Hook-Held. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm the Chief Public Affairs and Civic Engagement Officer at the San Diego LGBT Community Center. I'm calling for the removal of Commissioner Dennis Hodges from this commission. Commissioner Hodges has made statements in this meeting that are hurtful and harmful to our community. And instead of being willing to receive feedback or show any remorse for how his public statements are inappropriate, discriminatory, and uncalled for in this body, or show a willingness to learn, even if he disagrees, he's doubled and tripled down over the past 5 months, continuing to stand firm in his unwillingness to value and respect the LGBT community. Commissioner Hodges has called the LGBT community an abomination, has intentionally misgendered community members, and has insisted he's done nothing wrong. His series of public statements clearly demonstrate he is unfit to serve as a commissioner and should be removed for cause. In December, this body voted to remove Commissioner Hodges in a symbolic vote. Now you have the power to remove him for cause, both past and present. We cannot signify to others that outright discrimination and hate speech from an appointed official will be tolerated in San Diego County. All of us deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. And we all know words, especially hateful and discriminatory words, cause real harm. I ask that his removal be moved forward and that each of you vote in favor for removal. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we'll go on to Alan Acevedo.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Alan.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners. My name is Alan Acevedo. I use he, they pronouns, and I live in Vista. I'm calling to ask that you remove Commissioner Hodges from the Human Relations Commission. Commissioner Hodges has made statements in opposition to the LGBTI community, including calling us an abomination. And these persistent and hateful words have violated the code of conduct and disqualified himself from serving in this capacity. As a national wave of anti-transgender rhetoric and legislation crashes onto our community, I know that it is our community's responsibility to speak up to ensure that our public places and platforms serve to advance safety and respect. I work at the North County LGBTQ Resource Center as our Director of Operations, and I see every day the impact that anti-trans and anti-LGBT rhetoric has on our most vulnerable, our youth who are already significantly more likely to be bullied, to attempt suicide, and to end up homeless just because of who they are. We should not be advancing hate or giving it a platform in our governing bodies. And for these reasons, I respectfully ask that the Human Relations Commission vote to remove Commissioner Hodges from the Human Relations Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we'll go to Helen I'm sorry, I do not want to mess up your last name, but it starts with a W. Weldon Gorgas, I believe.
Yeah, you got it pretty close. Can you all hear me?
Got you. Yes.
Awesome. Good morning, folks. My name is Helen Weldon-Gorgas. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I live in Southeast San Diego. Like others before me, I'm calling to ask that you remove Commissioner Hodges from the Human Relations Commission. Commissioner Hodges has been very clear about the fact that he does not and will not support our LGBTQ community, and his persistent and hurtful comments violate the code of conduct and make him unqualified to serve as an HRC commissioner. Rather than expressing remorse for his words and actions, Commissioner Hodges has doubled and tripled down on his discriminatory and hateful stance. The LGBTQ community is vulnerable and deserves to be treated with respect and to be protected from transphobia and homophobia. And we need commissioners who understand that and champion that. I'm asking that the Human Relations Commission vote to remove Commissioner Hodges from the HRC. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you, Helen. Next, we'll go to Luis Montero Adams.
Good morning, commissioners. My name is Luis Montero Adams. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I live in the City Heights community of San Diego. I'm calling to add my voice to the many strong voices that have already spoken and request that this commission remove Commissioner Hodges from the Human Relations Commission. Commissioner Hodges has stated that he could never and will never support the LGBTQ community, and his persistent and hateful comments have violated the code of conduct and make him unqualified to serve as an HRC commissioner. We need commissioners who understand that the LGBTQ community is a vulnerable population that deserves to be treated with respect and deserves to be protected from homophobia and transphobia. I ask that the Human Relations Commission vote to remove Commissioner Hodges from the Human Relations Commission. Thank you very much.
And next, we'll go to Angela Prince. Not seeing Angela Prince. Next, we'll go to Veronica Zarir. Not seeing Veronica either. Nadia Higuera.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Honorable Commissioners. First and foremost, thank you to each and every one of you for your dedication to promote positive human relations, respect, and the integrity of every individual. The impact that you've had on the community is profound. I'm an attorney and I practice First Amendment free speech and free exercise of religion. I represent Commissioner Hodges. I want to reiterate that a government committee may not punish a member of that community because of their religious beliefs or speech. Some of you may want to, and I know there's clearly public pressure to do so, but that runs afoul of the protections that we have under the First Amendment. But putting the law aside, the biggest issue is that punishing a committee member for their sincere religious beliefs is antithetical to the mission you all work so hard for. If there's retaliatory action against Mr. Hodges for his religious beliefs, that sends a message to the community that only some people deserve respect and integrity. Those that do not agree should be silenced and censored and canceled. Cancel culture is divisive and toxic. We'll be feeding into that unfortunate trend if we proceed to fight over this. Fighting will just further what we all want to avoid. Punishing Mr. Hodges is not the answer. The answer is always to extend love, tolerance, empathy, respect, and grace. That is how we make a positive impact in the community. If we do not come to the defense of the human rights of the most unpopular among us, then no one's liberty will be secure. Thank you for letting me be heard. I look forward to seeing how this committee responds in this situation. It takes strength and courage to support someone's right to disagree with you. And I would even say that it is our moral responsibility to do so. Thank you again.
And thank you, Nada. And we have Chair Nash, that concludes the 13 members who submitted speaker slips. So we do have members of the public who have their hand raised and wish to speak. We have Francine Maxwell, we have a Bishop Art Hodges, we have Gail Levin and Arameek Glass Blake with their hands raised to speak.
Please acknowledge with 2 minutes.
All right. Francine Maxwell, you should be able to unmute.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much. Good morning, commissioners. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak. Francine Maxwell, Southeastern San Diego resident. I want to make sure that everybody is clear. You're named the Leon Williams HRC. Leon Williams stands for inclusivity. He is not with the cancel culture and he loves all people. Pastor Dennis Hodges opened up his statement, I love all human beings. Now, with that said, Let's move on and let's get to the rest of the county business instead of trying to concentrate and dominate to remove a commissioner that you cannot retroactively hold to anything that you just recently had the County Board of Supervisors vote on. So you're wasting the county time. I need the commissioners to consider, we have a superintendent in San Dieguito. She's an Afro-Latina who has said some disparaging comments about my AAPI brothers and sisters that was on tape and it has been circulating. She's also made the same type of disparaging comments on my African-American students. She is a superintendent over a lot of children, a lot of families. So we need the HRC to be getting ahead of things that are occurring. Now there are 2 Caucasian trustees that are trying to get rid of this Afro-Latina superintendent. So we know that things can fester if we don't pay attention. The county is looking towards the HRC to help us get ahead of issues. There needs to be some town halls about tolerance. There needs to be some forgiveness and some grace offered. But what is going on in San Dieguito with the hate speech and the hate crimes with the graffiti on our children needs to be on the agenda of this commission, not the removal of a Black man who said, and I repeat, I love all human beings and we are all human beings together. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak, and I look forward to seeing a statement or something coming from this county body in reference to the San Dieguito issues that have been going on for a while. Thank you.
Thank you, Francine. Next we have, is that a number you just allowed to unmute? Last 3166. If you would mind stating your name for the record. Okay, so we'll go to the next. Bishop Art Hodges.
Yes, thank you. I represent 350 pastors, ministers, and churches in Southern California, including 70 here in San Diego County. The Board of Supervisors established this commission on May 19, 2020, quote, to promote positive human relations, respect, and the integrity of every individual, regardless of gender, religion, culture, ethnicity, sexual orientation, age, or citizenship status. This will only be achieved by convening dialogue by and on differences of identities, values, and perspectives, working through these differences to promote positive human relations and working to resolve profound societal issues to help make San Diego County an even stronger community in which those with different identities, values, and perspectives interact, express, and with tolerance live together peaceably. Your bylaws state a goal, quote, to create a commission that is reflective of the demographics, diversity, and culture of San Diego County, including comprehensive representation of age, gender, socioeconomic status, ethnic background, culture, religion, sexual orientation, and geographical distribution, end quote. Please do not squelch the voices, censor the exchange of differing ideas or ideologies, or cancel opinions expressed that differ from your own, but that do represent countless millions of Americans. Webster's dictionary defines tolerance as sympathy or indulgence for beliefs or practices differing from or conflicting with one's own, the act of allowing something, the allowable deviation from a standard. Pastor Dennis Hodges is offering valuable alternative viewpoints in the spirit of tolerance concerning things he may not can conscientiously endorse. Every human in our community has a right for their opinion to be considered and represented on and by the San Diego Human Relations Commission, certainly Christian pastors. I listened to the November meeting. He did not call any individual an abomination, but he cited a Bible reference to unbiblical actions as being abomination to God. Many, if not all, of Pastor Dennis Hodges' biblical views are shared by hundreds of thousands.
And Bishop, I apologize for interrupting you, but your 2 minutes is up. And we do have a lot of members of the public, so apologize for your interruption. Would you like to wrap up?
Okay, thank you. Yes, we support everyone's human and civil rights. And given our pluralistic society, we don't oppose an adult's access to transgender surgery. However, we do support freedom of religion, conscience, and speech for those who advocate God's plan, which also accords with science and biology, even the evolutionary theory. Thank you very much.
We'll go to Gail Levin.
Hi, please correct the name from Gail Levin to Dran Reese. Somehow it just defaults to that name. I represent a coalition of 1,000 churches in California. We support leaving Pastor Dennis Hodges on your board. Pastor Hodges he's a straight up good guy with a heart of gold. He means absolutely no ill will to anyone. You need to allow the diversity of opinions on this Human Relations Committee. Just because you disagree with someone's position is a perfect time to show respect and integrity of character for how you hold that person in the same esteem as you would anyone else. In many ways, what I've heard from those who have recently talked, who want him removed, is that you're offended all the time. Folks, newsflash, life is offensive to everyone. You're not alone. Life is not about uniformity of status, income, religion, personality, ethnicities, gender, or opinions. If so, what a dull and uninteresting world. Diversity of status, income, religion, personality, ethnicities, gender, and opinions is the key to survival of our country. It goes both ways. It creates higher order of thought, makes options for a higher level of interest in things above which one may not understand. It creates for all of us the chance to learn to love and understand each other. Pastor Hodges is a decent, good man who will lend a valuable and much needed viewpoint to this commission. I highly recommend you live up to your stated goals and quit demoralizing and discriminating against him for his values and faith beliefs. Thank you so much for hearing me.
Thank you, and we'll go to Erin Marique Glass-Blake.
Hello, Erin Glass-Blake. I believe that we're going down a very painful path. I'm completely emotional, and the reason being is that I truly love everyone, and I truly believe that if people are willing to have the hard conversations, have dialogue that is uncomfortable, do the work, we can really create unity. Dr. King said, unity never meant uniformity. And I think we need to go back to the meeting that we had with the Board of Supervisors as they passed the bylaws, but on record made it very clear that this would not be retroactive. I think if the LGBTQ plus center and other advocates would really look at all of the issues that are happening through the county, myself, I've called multiple times, as Ms. Francine said, there are so many things happening. And if we were to organize the way you've been organizing on this issue pertaining to yourselves, around the other things that are happening within our county, we could get so much done if we were willing to have those hard dialogues and hard conversations. And Pastor Hodges has in the jail system, when those trans and others were being discriminated against, he was the first person on site to make sure that they were protected and safe. And so we don't have those conversations, so we don't know that information. This is not retroactive. We need to stop having this conversation, and we need to have real conversations about solutions, real conversations about how to move forward, and real conversations about what else is happening in this county that are affecting us and our young people and everyone across this county. Thank you.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, I do see Chris Mock, who was not present when we called their name, but we can allow Chris to speak if you would still like to speak, Chris. Okay, Chris, you should be able to unmute. Okay.
Hi, sorry about that.
No worries.
This is Chris Mock. I am an out and proud trans non-binary person. My pronouns are he and they. I am a member of the San Diego community. I'm speaking for myself. I am very hurt by Pastor Hodges's words. He says that he loves all human beings, and yet in the same breath, he says that and I want to clarify too, transgender is an adjective. Transgender people, not transgenderism, not transgenders. He, in the same breath, says that transgender are abominations. For someone who loves all people, that is contradictory to say it within the same breath. We as human beings should never be described as abominations. You are a man of God. You abide by the Bible. The Bible, God says to love everyone and do not put your own interests first, put the interests of other people first. I understand that you are a pastor and you lead a lot of people and you spread love. And so I ask this of you to continue to spread love. And as you say, love all people. Do not call us abominations. That is absolutely untrue and very hurtful. And I hope you and this commission hear my words. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, that concludes the non-agenda item public comments.
I would like, before we go to our next agenda item, I would like to acknowledge Tony G. Atkins, Senate President Pro Tem of the 39th Senate District, who sent a letter to all of the commissioners this morning, dated April 18th. I'm just gonna read a few of her comments from her letter. Dear Chairperson Nash and members of the commission, as members of the Leon Williams County Human Relations Commission, I call on you to promote tolerance with regard to diverse and sexual orientations and gender identities, and to speak out against bigotry and hatred. As civic leaders who took an oath of service to promote positive human relations, respect, and the integrity of every individual, regardless of gender, religion, culture, ethnicity, sexual orientation, age, or citizenship status, you must fight alongside members of the LGBTQ community and dismantle all forms of oppression. I am well aware of the hateful actions and comments about the transgender people made by Commissioner Dennis Hodges. Religion does not excuse or condone discrimination. Commissioner Hodges' remarks targeted toward the LGBTQ community causes real harm, and it has no place in our community, especially from appointed officials who are called to serve the human rights of all San Diegans. I am also aware of the subsequent action of the County Board of Supervisors to approve the Human Relations updated bylaws and code of conduct to include ability to censor or remove a member who violates the code of conduct. For too long, many have allowed themselves to dwell in convenience that comes with being neutral. But as we already know from the wise words of Desmond Tutu, if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. In 2021, at least 57 transgender people were killed in the United States, making it the deadliest year of violence against gender diverse people since records began. Of that group, 84% of the victims were people of color. Many hate crimes and murders go unreported or crucially misreported in the media, meaning the actual number of deaths could be far higher. These numbers are just a small glimpse of the reality on the ground. Being neutral is not an option. I ask you to speak up, take up, do what is right. Sincerely, Tony Atkins, Senate Pro Tem, 39th Senate District. That includes public comments.
That concludes public comments. And we also, I'd like to note for the record that we received 4 additional written submitted comments that were sent to the commission members prior to this meeting.
Okay, thank you. You're on mute, Andrew.
It's always one. So, so you wanted to move up the subcommittee updates. It's because we haven't been getting to them in a while. So we wanted to provide an opportunity for the subcommittee chairs to provide a brief update on their subcommittees. So I'll just start briefly, real quick with the annual awards, since they haven't met yet this year, but they will be meeting this year or this week for the first time. So I just want to remind everybody, if you are able to make it, please respond and let Vanessa Green from my team know, or Naras know if you're going to be able to make it or not, so you can definitely make quorum. Communication Subcommittee. And I believe Pedro, Commissioner Naya, you're the chair. Do you have any updates for us?
We actually technically do not have a chair of our committee, so that would not be me, and I was not present at the last meeting.
Okay. Is there anybody on this subcommittee that would like to provide a brief update?
I think Tammy had some. Tammy was there last meeting. Eleanor Evans.
So, Chair, I wonder if what we entered in would come up later when you do the strategic plan. So that's all I'll say. We made some edits or suggestions that will come forward with the strategic plan.
Okay, great.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to the next. Legislative Subcommittee.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. At the Legislative Subcommittee last meeting, we had an incredible discussion with Nerea from the Office of Strategy and Intergovernmental Affairs. I'm not sure if there was an attachment. I don't remember seeing it with the agenda, but Nerea went over bills in the state legislation that that the county is watching or has provided or voiced support for. And there's a list of those bills. There's a document with a list of those bills and the status or the county position on those bills. I'm not sure. I don't think that document was shared with the commission, but I think it should be. So that's kind of just the discussion that we had at the last meeting. That's the update. But as bills are moving through the state, one of the things that we wanted to ask first.
I'm sorry, Warsan, I think we lost you.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what was, I'm trying to figure out, I don't know what the last thing that you all heard was.
I think you said as bills are moving to the state, I think you were getting to a decision point that you might want the commission to.
Yes. Oh, great. Thank you. I was just saying that as bills move through the legislation, one of our ask for the Human Relations Commission is to designate the legislative subcommittee as not necessarily the point subcommittee, but to give us the power and the ability to be the voice of the HRC in giving feedback or taking or having, I guess, giving our feedback to the Office of Strategy and Intergovernmental Affairs. If that makes sense. I feel like I'm not framing it really that greatly, but so we're asking that we be assigned as a designee to be the voice of the Human Relations Commission when it comes to giving feedback on bills to the county. That's the ask that we have, and I think it might have to be voted on. I don't know if Sam is here, or if anyone else from the subcommittee wants to add anything.
This is Elena. I just want to add that, and thank you, Warsan. I think that just to be a little bit clearer, what we're asking is the authority to go ahead and move on bills because of the timing. Everything happens so quickly. And so by the time we get back to the full commission to review it and then get a vote and then go back, it may have already passed. So we're asking that on issues that we see of critical value that we feel the commission would be able to support, that you just give us the authority you grant the authority that we go ahead and proceed with support of those. If there's any letters that would be written, we draft the letter and certainly send it back over to the chair and have it reviewed. But just to say, maybe just take a stance on whether we support it or not. And this is a really strong committee. I believe it's moving along. We're having a lot of discussion, so we at least know the issues that are up. And so that's the ask of us, and just trying to clarify that point.
And to that point, thank you for those two clarifications. And Rachel, correct me if I'm wrong, County Council, but if since this wasn't on the agenda to be voted on, what we would have to do is put on the agenda for next meeting to vote on. And that might be an opportunity as well to put on the agenda the bills, just to kind of so people can see like what you're voting on. So Rachel, is that correct?
That would be helpful, and we would be draft a
I'm sorry, if you're not speaking, could you please go on mute? I could barely hear Rachel.
So I do believe that would be helpful on two reasons. Number one, to comply with the Brown Act, but also number two, to be able to kind of clearly articulate what the commission is authorizing the legislative committee to do, whether it be submit letters in support. So coming back with that, so the commission can make it knowledgeable.
Thank you for that, Rachel. Would that be okay with Elena and Warsaw?
Yeah, that would be okay. Yeah, but if I may add, I think if I'm not wrong, we had mentioned this before, so I just want to make sure it's solidified and it's added to the next agenda. Because I think we were running out of time, but in a previous HRC meeting, I had also mentioned that. So I just want to make sure that it's added to the next agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll make sure to add that through the chair.
And if you need us to, we can write if you need us to, we can write something up by the way of what we're asking.
That would be very helpful.
For the purposes of when we place the vote, everybody knows what exactly we're asking. So I think we can do that.
Perfect.
All right, policies and procedures. Any members like to provide an update?
Commissioner Corey,
Yes, ma'am.
would you like to provide an update?
I would, I'll be honest with you, I may not be able to do that.
Okay.
Is David in?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay. I'll go ahead and update. I attend the meetings. So policies and procedures, our last meeting, actually, it was actually attended by the clerk director's name fails me, Paul Parker. The meeting primarily focused on policies and procedures related to the in custody deaths. And so that's our main topic, is to actually get a current summary of the actual policies and procedures that are in place in regards to responding to the state audit report. And there was a long discussion with the clerk director regarding the effectiveness of clerk, the ineffectiveness of clerk, and the actual acknowledgement of that. And then there will be a follow-up meeting with us in regards to the new policies and procedures that have been implemented. We're excited to have the acting deputy sheriff with us, and I hope that he becomes involved with our policies and procedures, because our main focus is on in custody deaths and the improvement in the data and better outcomes, particularly as it relates to policies and procedures. So that's our meeting, and that's the gist of our meeting, our last meeting. We'll go to public safety next.
Commissioner De Los Rios, I think you're on mute.
Good morning, commissioners. We met April 4th, and to accommodate more attendance by subcommittee members, we are moving the new date and time. So if you'd like to join us, we will be meeting every third Monday of the month at 5:30 p.m. Our next meeting is May 16th. At this meeting, we took the opportunity to draft recommendations for the full commission to act on. We have listened and had presentations. Past items heard by the subcommittee have included mental health needs and resources, including the mobile crisis response teams, data presentation by various law enforcement agencies, a presentation by the Asian Solidarity Collective on their community action and response efforts campaign, a law enforcement panel to have a conversation on mental health resources to promote community safety. This included a discussion on policy officer standards and training. We also had a presentation by the Public Safety Group Executive Office on the Alternatives to Incarceration Initiative. And we had an informal discussion with Alliance San Diego on Border Patrol obstruction of justice and the local use of force cases and recommendations. After reviewing these items, the subcommittee expressed an interest to move on to address environmental health and safety, namely those cross-border implications. And we have asked to invite various stakeholders in this area to come present to the subcommittee in the future. Lastly, we're very excited. We have our new interim sheriff, Anthony Ray, who is part of our public safety subcommittee. He will be presenting at our next meeting. I invite everyone to our next meeting, May 16th at 5:30. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we can move on to our next subcommittee, the youth subcommittee. And I think Commissioner Chasen was absent today. Is there anyone who would like to provide an update on that, the subcommittee, in her absence? No, but the good news is that we have received an application, a youth application. So I think we'll be building our numbers soon for this subcommittee and for the larger HRC. So, and our strategic planning subcommittee, and we're going to be reviewing hopefully the strategic plan today. So Chair Nash, I'm not sure if you just want to table that until that part of the agenda.
Can we move? Let's move item 8 up, and we can talk about it now before we move on to the training. I wanted to give our training the bylaw, what is it?
The bylaws and rules of order and resolution.
Yes, I wanted to give that enough time. We only have an hour remaining.
Gotcha.
So it move that up, the strategic plan and logo. Can you put the the PowerPoint?
So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen of the strategic plan so you want to walk through it?
Yes.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, thank you. I want to thank, first of all, thank our strategic planning plan, all of the commissioners that have worked to bring this strategic action plan to reality. It's taken a lot of work. We've been at this for several months, started with our consulting firm, the Nonprofit Solutions, who guided us in the initial design template of the plan. And then the work in terms of the content has come from the commissioners, in addition to the staff, particularly under the direction of our own Andrew Strong, has helped us get there, had a lot of patience with us to put this plan together. And commissioners, all of us have had some time, sent it out, I believe, in advance. Hope that you all had some time to look at it. So that's one thing I wanted to bring to your attention and ask you for comments and feedback. More importantly, also, we have finally created a logo that will hopefully serve as a branding of who we are as the County of San Diego, Leon Williams Human Relations Commission. So we wanted to at least get the strategic plan on your radar, first of all, and hopefully that we can get possibly approval today, and also, and more importantly as well, approval of the logo so we can start using it on correspondence and everything else that we have going on. So I wanted to open the floor for discussion and comments from our commissioners.
Yeah, pardon me, I'm not doing too well. Who was the artist that did the logo?
That was some of our own county communications staff. I forget the team member's name, but it was our county communications team gave us a couple of thoughts.
Thank you.
No problem. And I see Commissioner Gillies and I see Commissioner Fowler.
Thank you. May I comment on the plan and not the logo, or you just, yes. Okay, thank you. I mentioned in a subcommittee meeting that my concern about the mission, which I know has been adopted, but my concern is that it leaves out the word race. And I believe that our mission should really include, and maybe, even at the top of the mission, but, it should say, regardless of race, gender, religion, and all those other things. So I feel it's really a big miss on our part if we leave that out.
And I believe we corrected that. Rachel, could you confirm that we corrected that in the bylaws?
I don't believe that was amended.
You don't think? Okay. Okay.
No.
Well, we'll make sure we correct that because you're absolutely right, Commissioner Gillies. Agree 100%. Commissioner Fowler.
Yes, I'd like to take the opportunity to make a motion to approve that, both of them, with the comments from Commissioner Gillies about the race issue being put in there.
Thank you, Commissioner Fowler. Commissioner Garcias. I can't hear you, Commissioner. I see you're not on mute, but I can't hear you. Yeah, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
So we can go to Commissioner Perez until we maybe we can resolve that issue.
Yes, I just wanted to acknowledge the team that worked on this. I think it's well written. I think it captures what we've discussed and what we really want our mission and vision to be. So, I mean, the logo's great, but I just want to acknowledge the team and say thank you for all the hard work that, I know that goes into putting together a strategic plan. But I thought it was well written, and I do believe we captured, everything that we've discussed. And so I think it's also, the strategic plan is also a static document where, as changes come through, we can make them to this document. And so I think that this is a great first start. So thank you all who worked on that.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Can.
Yes.
Oh, I wanted to make a motion to approve the logo and the statement as amended with the inclusion of the race.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcias. We had a motion. Would you like to second that motion? It was
sure.
a second.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
And Commissioner Corey, I see your hand is up as well.
Yeah, I thought that we have not yet finalized the logo, because I remember in our discussions in the communications as well as in the other meetings, when those logos were introduced to us, there was another logo that we felt would represent the Human Relations Commission and our approach to inclusion for the community as a whole was a different one and was more representing. So I don't know if we are going to be voting on that logo without discussion of the other, or seeing or discussing the other logos that existed.
Yes, let's separate. The vote will be to approve the plan, the strategic action plan. And then we'll take a second approval on the logo.
So what I'm hearing from you, Commissioner Corey, is that y'all had other discussions at the communications subcommittee meeting?
Yes,
Around the logo? Okay.
and we came back with a recommendation.
Gotcha. So I'll circle back with Sam and we'll talk about maybe circling back on that communication subcommittee to see what the recommendation was, so that you might want to bring to this larger commission at the next meeting. That sound good?
Well, I thought that we were going to be showing the logos today to the different commissioners and then discuss what we suggested, and then the whole commission would make the decision, not just the committee.
Okay.
So
Happy to
instead
do
of
that. So are you talking about the two logos that you saw at the commission, at the subcommittee meeting? Is that correct?
Yeah, there were a couple of, there were two that two representative logos that we chose, one of which was not this one.
Okay. Well, I'll have to circle back with Sam on that because I don't have that information. And then we'll confirm that. I see District Attorney Summer Stephan.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry that I didn't catch this earlier, but when Commissioner Gillies brought up the addition of race, which is very important here, what you have here is wonderful. So it has, with the addition of race, every element that meets the definitions, both federal and state, of hate crimes. So it includes every category, which is a really nice match, except for disability. So just a suggestion would be, if we add the word race and we add the respect for each individual disability, which we know there's a lot of people suffering from mental health disabilities or physical disabilities, which are a cause for sometimes discrimination and hatred and lack of respect. So then we would fully match both the federal and state definitions of hate crime. So we would serve as a protective commission against hate crimes.
Thank you. Commissioner Gillies.
Thank you. Along with what our district attorney is saying, if you scroll, and I'm not sure if we're talking about the whole plan right now, but the become liaison in civil peace, that second bullet point, and I asked Sam this in our subcommittee meeting, perceived social group, I object to that language, and I feel that we need to make that language reflect what the district attorney was just saying, because a perceived social group is not a protected class, and it can be taken in very many ways. And I think we should just reflect the language that should be in the mission. So that's my recommendation on that.
And thank you for that, Commissioner Gillies. So to make sure I heard you correctly, we should take this language here, add race and disability, and replace perceived social group with that word.
That's my recommendation or suggestion.
Okay, not seeing any other hands up. And what I'll do real quick is that I do have that other logo document. Is this the document you're referring to, Commissioner Curry?
Yes, if you look at the top left, the left logo versus the right logo, we felt that the left logo was more inclusive, showing that, it is with all the hands being directed and will be more understandable than really the other logo, which can be, somebody thought it was people and of different colors, etc., etc. So basically, the whole committee at the time thought that we will bring it to the whole commission to make a decision as to which logo they prefer, the right one or the left one. Am I right, Chair Nash?
Yes, absolutely.
This is Commissioner Ramirez. Did the committee recommend a second logo? Did they give a recommendation?
We actually, the committee recommended that we bring the two, that's this existing screen to the commission for comment and review. Yeah.
So what we could do, Chair Nash, if you wanted to separate the two out, we could take a vote on the strategic plan, and then we could take a vote on the logo with the hands. And if not, we could look at something else.
Okay, let's go with the strategic plan vote, because we've had some additional language added.
I have my hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner De Los Rios.
Thank you. I'd like to add in the verbiage, if we may, national origin. It is not the same as race. It is another protected class. So if you all would consider placing national origin, it's a nation of where people are originally from, as opposed to race. Thank you.
Okay.
So
Any other comments? Any other comments? Let's see, who made the original motion? Can we amend it? I think we've had three amendments.
Chair, I made the original motion and I accept all the amendments.
Thank you. Can we get a second?
I second the motion.
Great. Let's call for the vote.
Right. Commissioner Anaya.
Aye.
Vice Chair Arton.
Aye.
Commissioner Chason. Commissioner Kate Clark. Commissioner Cinnamon Clark. Commissioner De Los Rios.
Aye.
Commissioner Desert.
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott Santos.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans. Commissioner Farouk.
Aye.
Commissioner Fowler.
Aye.
Commissioner Garcia.
Aye.
Commissioner Gillies.
Aye.
Commissioner Griffin Jones. Commissioner Hassan.
Aye.
Commissioner Hodges.
Aye.
Commissioner Ismail.
Aye.
Commissioner Corey.
Aye.
Commissioner Legaspi.
Aye.
Commissioner Murray Ramirez.
Aye.
Commissioner Nash. Chair Nash.
Aye.
Commissioner Perez.
So depending on the nature of the process. Somebody needs to mute, please.
Commissioner Perez.
Aye.
Commissioner Ramirez. Commissioner Herminia Ramirez.
Aye.
Commissioner Acting Sheriff Anthony Ray.
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes, sir.
District Attorney Summer Stephan.
Aye.
Commissioner Villaforte.
Aye.
Chair Nash, that motion passes unanimously. We have a strategic plan.
Thank you. Congratulations to all the commissioners, but thank you again to the strategic plan subcommittee. This is wonderful, historic, in fact. Let's move to our agenda item 7.
And did you want to take a vote on the logo or did you want to?
Oh. Commissioners, are you ready to take a vote on the logo, or do you want to spend some time?
But why shouldn't we wait for both logos?
Why should we what? I'm sorry.
Wait for both logos to be presented.
They're both on the screen right now. And are you on the phone?
Oh, he's on the phone.
Yeah,
That's
you won't be able to see
right.
them.
Can't see
Yeah.
it.
They did come to you an email as well. So prior to the meeting, it was an attachment. So, but we can wait if
Let's wait.
Okay,
Let's wait. I really would like to get to the commission resolution, bylaws, and rules of order.
All right, we'll move on. So next, I'd like to introduce our very own County Counsel, Rachel Witt, the amazing Rachel Witt. He's been keeping us out of trouble and doing her best to guide us. And she had a heavy hand in helping us to develop the bylaws and the rules of order. But she's going to give us a presentation and run through the code of conduct, the new bylaws, and the rules of order and the resolution. So I will pull up the screen of the resolution to start, I believe.
Great. Thank you. Yes, the resolution would be great. And while you're doing that, as you all may know, at its last commission meeting, the commission voted to approve amendments to the bylaws, and those amended bylaws were taken to the Board of Supervisors on April 5th. And the Board of Supervisors approved the amended bylaws, which also required amending the commission's authorizing resolution. So the board took those two actions. And in addition to those items, the Board of Supervisors also directed that the commission receive training on its bylaws, rules of order, and code of conduct. And also that staff ensure that commission meetings are publicly available by posting audio and video recordings online. And so today, I'm going to walk through the commission's authorizing resolution and the amended bylaws, which includes the code of conduct. And I'll also kind of highlight the amendments. So you have been forwarded the red lines, and so that will kind of make clear kind of the changes that were made. And so I guess here we go. So the amended and restated resolution, as I indicated, the resolution is really your charter, your authorizing resolution. All of your authority comes from this resolution. And so the original resolution was adopted on May 19th, 2020. And so in order to accommodate some of the changes that you made in your bylaws, we had to also amend and restate the resolution so that they were synthesized with one another. So if you scroll down a little bit, Andrew, so these recitals are really just kind of outlining, some cleanup amendments, referencing the resolution that was adopted in 2020 and indicating that it's necessary to amend the resolution to accommodate the bylaws. The scope of the Human Relations Commission is outlined in section 1, and that has remained unchanged. I think in light of the changes that you all just made with regard to the strategic plan, that is not inconsistent with this resolution. And so, you can make those changes to add race, disability, and national origin. And we will clean up this resolution at a future meeting at some date, probably as part of sunset review. The second section identifies the number of members on the commission and kind of the appointment process. And as you probably know, the commission has 31 voting members, and those members are comprised of the following people. And this part, at least up to this point, hasn't changed. And so the board nominates 3 commissioners, at least one of which shall be a youth aged 16 to 24. And all members of the commission are, even though they're nominated by different sources, are confirmed by the board. And so in addition to these 15 members nominated, there are I think we refer to them as organizational appointees. And so first you have the DA, the sheriff or designee. Those are ex officio, meaning whomever is currently in that position would, as their position, be part of the commission. And then we have the organizational units, which are listed there. And again, those organizations nominate their prospective appointee, and then they are confirmed by the board. So if you scroll down, one of the changes that were made is that the subcommittee and the commission approved of this change, which is to consolidate the Asian Pacific Island representatives to have it so that it's the San Diego API coalition. So that change was made. And then, of course, we have the commission itself. Those who are sitting as a commission, they also make their nominees. So another change that the commission made was they indicated that they are going to evaluate the organizational seats to determine if seats should be added or removed, and that any changes to an organizational seat would be, could only be done by 2/3 vote. And this is clearly defined as 2/3 of the members present at each meeting. So in some of the cases, I'll kind of explain that the way the voting is determined, majority or supermajority, is based on numbers of members currently present. But in this case, we have 2/3 of members present at the meeting. So if, for instance, you have, as you did today, 27 members currently appointed, a majority of which is 14, 2/3 of that 14 could, take action if it was noticed on the agenda. And so it's based on that 14 rather than on the 31. So section 3 outlines the commission nominations, and it indicates, just kind of the process in terms of filing an application with the clerk of the board, attempting to nominate members that are reflective of the demographics, diversity, and culture of San Diego County, and including comprehensive representation. The third item is consider the prospective commissioner's knowledge and awareness of the problems and causes of intergroup tension and conflict. And these are specific to the commission nominations that the commission itself makes. Ideally, if the other appointed organizations are also looking at these as criteria as well, but this is limited to at least codified for commission nominations. The section 4 addresses the term of office for those commissioners that are nominated by a supervisor and then confirmed by the board. They have a term which runs concurrently with the supervisor that nominated them. As I indicated earlier, commissioners listed as the district attorney and the sheriff, they run concurrent with their office. And commissioners 3 through 9, those are the organizational seats. They serve at the pleasure of the organization so designated. So if an organization decided that it wanted to give another member, or for whatever reasons the organization might have, they would submit a letter to the commission indicating there's a vacancy and offer a new appointee, which would need to be confirmed by the board of supervisors before that person could sit in that new seat. Commissioners, the commissioners listed 10 through 16, they are the appointed commissioners by the commission. They serve a term of 2 years until their successor has been appointed and qualified. So that until appointed and qualified essentially means that if the 2-year term is up, but the commission hasn't been able to find a successor or hasn't been able to, for whatever reason, appoint a successor, that person would continue to serve until a new appointee is made. So that ensures that you'll have a quorum and ensures that there are seats filled. So this next sentence just ensures that commissioners represent the entire area and population of the county in performing their duties. And so while everybody brings their perspective is part of the contribution they bring to the committee, but they're really representing all of those in San Diego County. So section 5 addresses vacancies, and vacancies occur either before an expiration of term. I know we went through the terms, but if there's death or resignation, removal at the pleasure of the appointing or nominating authority. And then this sentence or this provision was added, which is removal of any member by 2/3 of the commission according to its bylaws. Ceasing of the incumbent to be a resident of the county of San Diego, or an incumbent's absence of more than 1/3 of the regularly scheduled meetings. And so I know that the commission did go through and added these sections related to to ensure people are at the meetings, and so that was done previously, but obviously those are unchanged. So vacancies shall be filled by the applicable nominating or appointing authority as specified in 2. So if there is a vacancy due to one of those things, that seat is then filled by the nominating authority under which they were originally, the vacating member was originally appointed. So section 6 is some organizational meeting type provisions. Officers are selected annually by the membership. There's a chair and a vice chair, and any other officers that the commission might deem necessary. The rules that the commission shall prepare and adopt rules necessary for the conduct of its business. These rules and regulations are to be approved by the board. I think these bylaws have been approved by the board. There is a reference to the rules of order, which are different, but I think these particular provisions really address the bylaws. A quorum. So in a lot of this language, just so you know, models that which was in the authorizing resolution. And so to be consistent with that resolution, these provisions were added here. And one of those is a language related to quorum. And so a quorum is defined as a majority of members currently appointed to the commission. And so, in this case right now, we have 4 vacancies, and so there's 27 members. And so it's a majority of those currently appointed. Yeah. This provision, a majority of members shall be required to carry any motion. And so that's why, even though there may have only been, let's say, 22 members who were able to attend, because the resolution and the bylaws provide that you have to have a majority of members currently appointed, that means it's that number, again, 14 for like today, that is necessary to carry any motion. So minutes, the commission is required to keep minutes and file those with the clerk of the board. That's consistent with board policy related to other boards and commissions that the county has, and so that is in there. And that the meetings are subject to the Ralph M. Brown Act. That's the county's open meeting, or sorry, the state open meeting law, and applicable to all boards and commissions that the county has created. So establishment of committees, as you know, the HRC has a lot of committees. This is really just a cleanup rather than just calling out ad hoc. The commission has both standing and ad hoc committees, ad hoc meaning temporary in nature, as opposed to the standing ones, which meet that have no time duration and have continuing jurisdiction. And so just to be more broad, that was just kind of cleaned up. The volunteer and consultant services, to the extent the commission needs volunteer workers and consultants, this is kind of a placeholder for that. Since the commission is not a separate legal entity, any contracting or anything that would be done by county staff. And so this is, so just wanted to kind of make you aware of that. Section 8, compensation. Members of the commission are not entitled to receive compensation. Their duties, once they are selected, this essentially, as a placeholder, trying to remember, I think because this is the resolution, the original resolution was very unique in that rather than establishing the duties and responsibilities for the commission itself, it kind of gave that power to the commission. And so this language said that once the commission was put together, that they had 90 days to determine your duties and responsibilities. And those are actually now codified in your bylaws. And so you folks were able to do that rather than have the board of supervisors dictate that for you. So section 10 talks about non-county funding. The commission may, with the approval of board of supervisors, apply for grants, donations, and other funding from public or private sources to cover commission costs. Again, it's contingent on the board of supervisors approval. And because the commission is not a separate legal entity, the county would enter into that grant agreement on behalf of the commission, but it makes clear that that's a possibility. Staff assistance, the resolution provides that the chief administrative officer is required to provide the necessary administrative staff and clerical staff for the commission, and that this commission will be reviewed as part of the regularly scheduled sunset review process. And that process is really to ensure, regular review of all the boards and commissions to ensure that their bylaws and their duties are kind of all up to date, and just kind of do an overview and review to see if there are any changes that might need to be brought forward to the board. So that's the amended and restated resolution. Again, that is the governing underlying authority that the commission has, and as part of that folds in then nicely to the bylaws, and the bylaws are a little bit more specific. You're going to see a lot of similarities, but there's maybe a little bit more specifics in terms of how meetings are run and that such. So we'll go through the amended and restated bylaws. And actually these aren't amended and restated, they're just amended and now they're just your bylaws, but they were changed to reference the original resolution, and then also the resolution that we just went over. The membership in terms of office, again, model that which is in the underlying resolution, so I won't go over that again. And so this part is a little different. So even though the resolution allows for the organizational seats to be changed, the bylaws are a little bit more specific in that it says, outlines a process in terms of how they're going to be kind of reviewed. The one thing that I will note is that to the extent the number of seats are changed, so to the extent that the commission determines that it maybe wants 35 members instead of 31, or wants to, given the characterization of whatever's going on in the HRC, that they want to change organizational seats, because the original resolution outlines and articulates those specific members. To the extent the commission wants to change those seats, we would need to go back to the board in order to have that resolution changed to conform to the way that the Human Relations Commission wants that. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. Again, the nominations and the filling of those seats, this language models that, which is in the resolution, including the term and vacancy. So the one thing I'll point out, do you mind just maybe going up to the one part? I know this issue has section E, section E. One issue that has come up, I know maybe some questions, section E. Thanks, Andrew. Some people have wondered whether they could have an alternate. The sheriff and the district attorney, there's a provision because in the underlying resolution, it specifically says designee. Because of the ex officio nature of those positions, the commission, when it originally adopted these bylaws, had determined that the sheriff and the district attorney would be able to designate in writing 24 hours prior, that then you have those alternates sitting on the commission and having voting power. So I just wanted to bring that part to your attention. Thank you. So the duties and responsibilities. The duties and responsibilities were developed by your commission. They start with the premise of the underlying mission of the commission. And then I know you all spent a lot of time going through and defining what duties and responsibilities you have. And so those are listed out here. None of that was changed with the amendments. The officers, models, in this particular case, there's actually a process articulated in terms of how you appoint your officers, your chair and your vice chairs. And so you all have outlined that, and that has not changed. In the, oh, I'm sorry, would you scroll up just a little bit to section D? In terms of the scope of the duties, the chair provides the general supervisorial guidance to the commission and presides over its meetings. And the chair assigns coordinating duties with the chair, vice chair, as necessary. Again, this is, the flexibility is really that, in this case, we have two vice chairs, and really the chair and the vice chairs kind of work together to develop that. But and that's certainly allowed for under the bylaws. But just I wanted to kind of call that one out. In the absence of the chair, the vice chairs would assume the duties and responsibilities of that office. Staff will be keeping the meetings of the minutes, keeps track of quorum, including the lists of representatives and doing the required postings. Subcommittees, either the chair or the commission may appoint committees to carry out the functions. And so your bylaws allow for that. All meetings shall be open to the public and permitted to attend. Your authorizing resolution provides that even like ad hoc committees under the Brown Act are not required to have the same noticing requirements or no noticing requirements. However, your authorizing resolution provides that all meetings of the HRC are open to the public. And so you all continue to do that. But just from a noticing standpoint, noticing could be different. So just wanted to point that out. And then section D was intended, I believe, to also address attendance issues for both committees and regular meetings. I know originally you had the meetings, the absences for regular meetings, and this was kind of modeled after that. But specifically addresses subcommittee meetings. So with regard to meetings, as I mentioned earlier, your commission has adopted rules of order, and they govern the conduct of the actual meetings of the commission. If it's not specifically addressed, your commission has decided that Rosenberg rules of order, as opposed to Robert's rules of order, are the ones that control. And we, if you do not have a copy of rules of order, we can certainly provide you those. It's a much more succinct, I think it's about 11-page PDF, as opposed to Robert's rules, which can be, very overwhelming. And so the Rosenberg rules of order are the ones that govern your commission. So all voting is done on a one person. There's no proxy except for the district attorney and the sheriff. As I mentioned earlier, the commission is subject to the Brown Act, and so we've done Brown Act trainings for the commission before, and I'm sure you'll get opportunities to have trainings in the future. And it talks about access to meetings. Again, right now we're all virtual, so the physical meetings aren't an issue right now. Those meetings, if AB 361 and the law is not amended, the ability to meet in this virtual space with minimal noticing requirements will expire at the end of 2020. The commission is required to adopt a regular meeting schedule, which you've done, so let's see, additional provisions. So we talked about the volunteering consultants. We talked about not receiving compensation. The AB 1234 local ethics training is a state mandated training for those commissions and local legislative bodies that have slightly more than advisory. There's a couple different provisions. And so this was put in, especially in light of the fact that you all were determining your duties and responsibilities and were making decisions beyond those that were just advisory. And so I know that, some of you may have had this local ethics training and some of you may not have had an opportunity to take it yet. But I know Andrew is going to be following up with folks to ensure that they get this training. And the training really covers a variety of things that I think will be of interest to you. It's not only, the Public Records Act in terms of documents that are created that you may create, which may be public record. It addresses the Brown Act, the open meeting law, conflict of interest and things. And so when folks are serving on source selection committees and things, all of these kind of activities that members of the commission participate in, this is kind of a good overview of the laws that are applicable to local public officials, which you all are. So you'll get
and Rachel, we do have somebody who has their hand up. I'm not sure if you want to take questions now or you want to wait till we get to the end.
Sure, I'd be happy to take a question.
Commissioner,
Can we wait?
Okay.
Can we wait?
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. And so the section D talks about what I mentioned before is that if the commission wants to apply for grant sources, they're allowed to do so, but they need to get the Board of Supervisors approval before they can do that. And that the commission may amend these bylaws on majority vote. And then, of course, they have to go to the Board of Supervisors prior to becoming effective. And section 8 provides that no statement shall be made or action by the commission, by commission member on behalf of or in the name of the commission, unless specifically authorized by the commission. And so, today we talked about the legislative committee. They're a committee that was created as an advisory body to the commission on legislative matters. And, the legislative committee is going to come back and ask the commission to be able to speak on behalf of the commission under certain parameters, and those will be provided to you. And so having an official action that gives the committee the authority from the commission to take actions as the commission has kind of authorized. So that's kind of where this stems from. Section G was added to allow that any commissioner may be publicly censured or removed from the commission by 2/3 vote for substantial neglect of duty, gross misconduct, engaging in disparaging and or derogatory communication or direct action, inability to discharge the powers and duties of the office, or a violation of the commission's code of conduct. So these are the this is the provision that allows a member to be censured or removed. A 2/3 vote is defined here, and it's defined as a vote of the commissioners present at a meeting where the vote takes place. So as I mentioned before, This makes it clear that it's a 2/3 of the members present, not a 2/3 of those currently appointed. So the Code of Conduct, Section 8, was developed and provided by the subcommittee and referred to the commission. And this language, if you scroll down a bit, provides that, and I'm sure that you have read this and that you, I can certainly read it for those that are on the phone, but the Leon L. Williams San Diego County Human Relations Commission brings together a diverse group of commissioners to work together to foster more inclusive and equitable San Diego County, to fulfill the commission's mission to promote positive relations, respect, and integrity of every individual, regardless of gender, religion, culture, ethnicity, sexual orientation, age, or citizenship status. Commissioners agreed to maintain the highest standards of professional and personal conduct. It is imperative that commissioners adhere to the highest standards of ethical conduct and support the commission's missions, goals, and objectives, and instills in the public a sense of confidence in the commission's operations. The standard of conduct for the commission includes, but is not limited to, being accountable for its rules of procedures and decisions, and promoting accountability of all members of the commission and commission staff. Treating all commission staff, members of the public, and colleagues with courtesy, respect, objectivity, and fairness, and refraining from discriminatory and harassing remarks in the meeting. And the definition of discriminatory or harassing remarks includes legally protected speech in the commission meeting that disparages an individual or group based on their perceived race, religion, sexual orientation, ethnicity, gender, disability, or hate speech, but does not rise to the level of criminal threat or inciting violence. Scroll down a bit. Conducting all commission business in a timely manner and in public meetings with full disclosure of policies and procedures, and engaging in the decision-making process, except for those matters authorized under the Brown Act to be considered in closed session. And reviewing its actions, recommendations, and procedures periodically to determine whether the commission has adhered to the code of conduct conditions in all respects. And I know that there's been, questions that have been raised in terms of the retroactivity of these rules. And I just wanted to make sure to, make very clear that while the bylaws is written by the HRC do permit the HRC the commission to determine whether any acts to censure or remove a commissioner would be applied going forward, or whether it would be applied for prior acts. The discussion at the Board of Supervisors meeting on April 5th did make it very clear that these rules would be applied in a moving forward basis and not retroactive. And so with that, I think we were going to go over the rules of order. And so the rules of order, again, are really to ensure that matters on the agenda can be addressed and all voices have an opportunity to be heard. The commission adopted these changes at its last meeting in March. And again, most of these are the same, but they arrive to the meeting on time and read the agenda materials, be respectful of others who are speaking, remain on mute until it's your turn to speak, and avoid interrupting others. Raise your hand to be called on by the chair, and do not speak until called on by the chair. And so item 3 was added by the commission, and it models that of the Board of Supervisors rules of procedure related to discriminatory and harassing remarks. And I wanted to kind of point out that there are 2 different sections. There's when a commissioner makes a discriminatory and harassing remark, and when the public makes a discriminatory harassing remark. And the reason why these 2 things are called out differently is because the commissioner, as someone who's representing the county, is a public official of the county, They have a different standard than that of than that. I was muted, but I've been unmuted. And so the reason why this is being called out in two different ways is to kind of recognize that as a commissioner, you have a different standard in terms of your speech than that of a member. So again, if there is a discriminatory or harassing remark that is from a commissioner, then this outlines what the chair will read into the record and how the chair will handle those when that type of behavior occurs. And so if a commissioner makes a discriminatory or harassing remark as defined, which I have read earlier, then the chair shall take the following actions. They're required to read the county's policy regarding discrimination and harassment into the record. She or he is to state that the comments are inconsistent with the commission's purpose and the violation of a county policy will not be condoned, and inform the member that their language is unwanted, unwelcome, and or inappropriate, and that they interface with the ability and that they interfere with the ability of those present to listen and understand. State that any county employee, and that would include a commissioner, who is offended or otherwise does not wish to attend due to the remarks of that other commissioner, is excused from attendance at that meeting during those remarks. The chair may also mute the offending commissioner's microphone, and the chair may call a recess to allow staff to leave and provide de-escalating. Just scroll down more, please. De-escalation. And these are the words that would be read related to the purpose of the mission. Again, we can change it to allow for the additional categories that we talked about today, and can work on a process to ensure that that happens. And the policy against discrimination and harassment related to the county's code of ethics, which each of the commissioners is subject to. And so this next section on page 2 talks about when a member of the public makes a discriminatory or harassing remarks. Again, as we previously defined and I've read, the chair may take the following actions. Again, in these particular provisions is to acknowledge the public's First Amendment speech rights, but also to acknowledge that comments will not be condoned, that employees or commissioners who are offended are not required to attend and can leave, and that the speaker's time will be held while they are reading this particular statement, but that the chair, the speaker will be allowed to continue after the admonishment, and the chair may call a recess to provide de-escalation. Again, the purpose of the commission and the policy against discrimination and harassment have been included. So number 4 was added by the commission. A commissioner may abstain from voting on a matter, and if a commissioner abstains from voting on a matter, the commissioner shall not be required to state the basis for that abstention. The other items remaining are items which you have previously approved and kind of talks about, ensuring, that there's going to be 3 minutes allowed to speak, that they, people who have already spoken, we may give other people an opportunity to speak if you've already spoken on an issue. Since there are 31 members, trying to give everyone an opportunity to speak is important. Keeping the discussion focused on the agenda, and that we don't use the chat function just other than to announce arrival or departure, and that's for Brown Act reasons. And then 8 and 9 talk about the actual, motions, because we're in a virtual space. We're taking motions, and to the extent you can announce your name so that it's clear for the record who's made the motion and who's seconded it. That would be great. And this last number 9 really addresses that, when you get the agenda at least 72 hours in advance, that if there are items related to that agenda that you want distributed to the commission, those will be distributed and posted on the page. And then finally, the chair will adjourn the meeting promptly at the designated time, and that anything not fully discussed or heard will be carried over to the next commission. So I apologize for, kind of going through all of this, and I'm sure that there may be questions, but let me know if you have any questions.
All right, we have two hands raised. We have Commissioner Farouk and Commissioner Warsan Artan.
Just
Yes.
to be mindful of our time, we do have a hard stop at noon. Thank you.
Yeah, so I raised my hand earlier, but I was just trying to be led into the meeting, but I do have a few questions. In terms of retroactivity, is retroactivity allowed to address rules or to hold folks accountable according to certain rules or bylaws? And the other question I have is for the recent motion to remove the commissioner, it seems to me that retroactivity is applied to that, but not applied to the rule that you just went over, Rachel, around asking folks for abstention and whether that's required from folks to explain themselves. So I'm just a little confused around how that rule applies.
Sure, I'd be happy to answer that. For purposes of, I know that there were, we had a lot of public testimony today calling on the removal of Pastor Hodges. We are not speaking about that particular instance because it's not been noticed on the agenda. And so that's not for that particular situation. I'm not able to speak on that. However, generally speaking, the way that the bylaws were written, they were silent as to whether they would be retroactive or not. And certainly in certain criminal situations, having a new rule and applying it retroactively wouldn't be permitted. However, this is not a criminal action, and so legally that would be possible. However, as I indicated, there was discussion at the Board of Supervisors that made it clear that these rules would be applied prospectively. And so for that standpoint, I hope that clarifies what might be perceived as the inconsistency. But in terms of the abstention provisions, once those were passed, once these rules were adopted, they become effective immediately. And so to the extent a commissioner wants to abstain, the commissioner is allowed to do that, and no one can ask that commissioner why they abstain. Certainly, a commissioner can offer that, if they want to explain, but there's no requirement that they do so.
Yeah, thank you for that. And so in terms of the Board of Supervisors saying that the rules would be applied prospectively, does that not conflict with the retroactivity here?
I don't think it does. I'm not sure I completely understand the question, but again, in terms of, because we don't have a specific issue related to retroactivity to address or to analyze, because that has not been noticed for this meeting, we can't go into individual scenarios as to what might or might not be able to be done.
And if I may jump in too, I think Commissioner Farouk, what I heard you say was that there was a motion for the removal, and there hasn't been a motion made today, and we're not voting on a motion or anything like that. I think That's what I heard Rachel say too. Is that helpful?
Yeah, sorry, I must have confused it, but yeah, it was just my question was just on retroactivity, but I will
Gotcha.
not take up more time because I know there's other questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Artai.
Hi, thanks, Andrew. And thanks, Rachel, for your presentation. I feel like going over all 3 documents clears up a lot of questions that probably people had. I did have a question on the compensation piece. What falls under that? So for example, if meetings are back in person, would things like, let me step back really quick. So I know that, for example, like transportation is a big issue for in-person stuff, especially as somebody who works with youth. I know that's one of the barriers young people face when it comes to accessing things that are in person. So for example, if the commission wanted to figure out a way to have like a free transportation passes for youth, would that fall under compensation, or would that be something that we will be able to do?
Very good question, and would be something that I would like to have specific facts in terms of being able to do the analysis. But it is something, definitely, I understand what you're saying. I just am not sure what the answer is right now. So, but definitely we can certainly take a look at that. So I appreciate the point.
Got it. Thank you. And then the other question that I asked, the last question that I have is on the like the excused absence. Would religious holidays fall under that? Like, I know some religious holidays are holidays for everyone, and then some religious holidays, like for example, in May, like we have a Muslim holiday coming up, or days where, like, we're working and things like that. Would those be counted as an excuse to absent, or would that be like a religious exception, considering that there's only 2 excused absence per year?
Yeah, there is not a lot of guidance in terms of what would be excused or unexcused. In my mind, I think, at least when I've heard the discussion before, it's really just letting the chair know beforehand that you're not able to attend, just to, as opposed to something kind of happening. I mean, I think there are a lot of different scenarios, but truly there are no guidelines outlined. So I think it would be on a case-to-case basis.
And Rachel, I'm having a hard time hearing you, so I'm not sure if you need to speak a little louder or get closer to your mic.
I think I can say at this point is that there are no clear guidance in your bylaws related to what's excused and unexcused. And so it's really at the discretion of the chair, but certainly accommodating, religious holidays seems very reasonable to me. So.
Thank you. Yeah, I think those 2 areas are probably something that we should, or the bylaws committee should discuss. But thank you so much.
Commissioner Desert.
I wanted to ask respectfully if we can continue the conversation on the bylaws agendized as early as possible in our next meeting, since we all have lots of questions and I have some additional, but I'm mindful of time and the chair's commitment to end on time.
Chair Nash, you want to respond to that, or we can go to District Attorney Summer staff minutes next.
District Attorney Summer, what was the question for me?
Oh, just to continue the discussion of the bylaws onto the next agenda.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, 12 o'clock. So
I have several questions, but I'm mindful we don't have time for them. So I'd like to start next time, please. Thank you.
Next time, absolutely. And all questions, if you could hold your questions till our next meeting, that'd be much appreciated. It is the noon hour, and I do not want to hold you up anymore. And so everything else on the agenda, we will include it on next month's agenda. And you all have a great day. I consider this meeting adjourned.
Andrew, it's Eleanor Evans. Do I receive credit for, even though I came very, very late?
Yes, I saw you. I saw you when you came in. So we got you down as attendant.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Everyone have a great week. Take care.